So the key thing to remember today is you're going to have this 1 hour, and then it's going to be over. So please remember, whenever you're doing job search, it's happening in that moment. So please take advantage of that moment to move to that moment and not wait. So good morning, I'm Charlotte Lee. I'm the head coach at LHH Harrison in New York and Stanford. I'm very delighted to be here this morning. Thanks for having me. A couple of shout outs. In 2013, I had the good fortune to meet a lovely guy that I've been friends with, whose name is Tim Hom. And Tim decided to do the one thing I ask all of you to do for the rest of your lives if you do nothing else, and that is to pay it forward. That someone else will need you, and someone else will need a phone call, and someone else will need a connection, and someone else will need a good cup of coffee or a crappy cup of coffee, but they need you, and your job is to be there for them because someone was there for you. So Tim Hom decided in his spare time, when he wasn't with his children, his wife, his life, his volunteer work, and his full-time job, that he would put together an alumni group like this for LHH candidates who hadn't quite landed, but their programs had ended, and they still wanted to get together to scale, to meet new people, to share best practices, and to do anything to support each other. And so Tim put this together, and as you can see, it's no joke. So Tim Hom.
Thanks, Charlie.
I think we need to salute Tim. There are a lot of heroes in the world, and some of them don't ever want to be noticed, and that's why I shine the spotlight right on them. And there are those of us who stand at the table and want to be noticed. And there are a lot of you who don't want to be noticed, and in job search you have to be noticed. So the important thing to think about is, I have a first impression when I look at you. And I have a first impression when I see you, and I hear your voice, and I shake your hand, and I look at your eye contact, and everything about you, I notice. I hope you don't mind me touching you. So at the end of the day, I'm going to talk a little bit today about making sure you build really good connections with people. And the nice thing about it is New York is filled with this incredible, diverse group of people. And the bad news is, because we're a diverse group of people, you need to know how to get along with everybody. Everybody, at every level. I hear people say, oh, it was just HR, it was some HR screening, and I think to myself, oh. Because if you marginalize that, you might have marginalized something else. And by the way, I catch marginalizing anything, and you're out. I absolutely DQ you on every single thing. I don't connect you, I don't link in, I don't introduce you, I don't help, I step away. Because that's what we call judging, and we're in a judge-free zone. There's no judging. Everyone is here to help everyone. Everyone is here to do the right thing. There's no judging. So when I hear that, oh, I didn't think he was really worth it, oh, she's just HR, I think to myself, and you think you're something else. So watch that. So I'm going to start today with a deck. I may or may not have enough copies. It's called How to Work with Human Resources. And the reason I wanted to do that is there's two parts of this. There's how to work with human resources, and there's how to work with recruiters, and I want to talk about both. So there are two types of recruiters. There are retained recruiters, and there are contingency recruiters. The contingency recruiters haven't been paid until you land. So they kind of take your resume and they start throwing it out to every single man, woman, and child that they possibly can throw it out to. I say, I'm happy for you to have conversations with them, but I want you to be careful. Know to whom they're sending it. Ask them what they're working on. Please do not just arbitrarily say yes when people ask you for your resume. Your resume is your brand, and you need to be careful. So the contingencies, they may know somebody at Credit Suisse. You don't know anybody at Credit Suisse. You're not talking to Credit Suisse, and you want to give it to them to get you into Credit Suisse. That's absolutely, perfectly fine. What I want to make sure that you do is that you follow up with them, that you find out to whom they're sending it, what is the role, what's the range of the role, is it the right level? Because what you want to say to them is, I've got a ton of connections there, and I don't want to step on your toes, so I want to know what's going on so we don't cross each other in the marketplace. Because I'm talking to bazillions of people, and I just don't want us to cross each other, and that's the way you deal with the contingencies. Okay, questions on contingency recruiters? Okay, retained. Retained search is, yes? No, I didn't hear that. Yes?
We couldn't hear that.
I'd be happy to repeat it. The question is, do I have any contingency folks that I recommend? And the answer is no. business of recommending people, except coaches, because I'm a coach. I find the contingency is spotty at best. And lastly, most people rely on the wrong things. They rely on other people. And when you rely on other people, you're out for over a year. And I don't recommend it. And most people rely on recruiters as a solve in some way. And I don't recommend it. This is either going to happen because you're doing it, or you're not doing it, and you're hoping somebody else to God is doing it for you. And I step away from that. So I don't count on recruiters at all. It's a work stream. You know, you got a lot of work streams going with your job search. It's a teeny, teeny, tiny, tiny, tiny work stream. Back here, we had a hand? No? Okay, I will repeat the question. Yes, ma'am. You ask them. The question is, how do you ask them if they are retained or contingency? And the answer is you ask them. Are you retained for this role? Well, you know, I have really good relationships there. I've known them for a long time. The answer is they're contingency. Right? I mean, look, you're not trying to make yourself annoying. You're not. You're looking for data. I find people out of work constantly pushing data out instead of doing the one thing they should be doing, which is pulling data in. Here's how much I make, here's my resume, here's my resume, here's how much I make, who can you introduce me to? Oh, here's a recruiter. Just constantly pushing stuff out and wondering why nothing's coming back. It's because you're coming across as desperate. And nobody wants anybody who's desperate. Nobody wants anyone who's coming across like, I'll give you anything you need or want, because I need a job. I just think it messages maybe not as well as we want it to message, so I don't recommend it. A retained search is exactly the opposite. They are paid by the company to fill a position, and they are paid no matter what. So if I'm an internal candidate and I get that role, they still have to pay the headhunters, even though I'm an internal candidate, because they have been paid a retained fee to fill the role. Questions on headhunters? Yes?
Role that they are asked to be recruiting for that you know is pretty much confidential on the client, but you know who the client is. What might be the best practice to allow you to get in the door without them?
So I would say two things. Oh, sorry. I am not paying attention to the boss here, which is I must cite the question again. So the question is, if a retained search person comes to you and has a role that they're working on, and they don't tell you to whom it's going, but you know, how do you handle that? And the answer is you don't know. I know you think you know, you don't know. Unless the retained search told you this job is for JP Chase, it's a guess on your part. Unless someone from JP Morgan says to you, I hired Korn Ferry to find this person for me. So there's only two ways to find out if something's truthful, and that is one, from the source, and two, from the one who made the hire. So JP Morgan hires a recruiting firm, and those are the two that know for sure. So I would, if I heard it from either one of them, take it as definitely the word. If I heard it from hearsay, I wouldn't necessarily take it as the word.
Pretty much the description.
Again, I'm going to repeat what I said. I will never believe the truth until someone looks me in the eye and says, I've got this retained search, Charlotte, and I'm doing it for JP Morgan. I have been hired by JP Morgan, and you're not a fit. Now, if I think I'm a fit, if you're asking me if I'm going to go around him, guess what the answer to that is? You got it. I'm going to absolutely go after him. I'm going to call every man, woman, and child at JP Morgan that I know, and I'm going to say, hey, I heard you guys want to come up a search through blah, blah, blah. I think I'm a perfect fit. He dinged me and DQ'd me. I'd like to be considered. Here's why. Would you be willing to introduce me to the hiring manager? Here's the good news. They get paid anyway. It doesn't matter who gets in the seat. They get paid anyway. And then I go back to them and say, oh, by the way, I'm talking to JP Morgan. I know you didn't think I was a fit, and I didn't want you to hear this from anyone else. I wanted you to hear it from me because I'm an adult and I own my search and I own my actions. I'm coming to you to tell you that I'm meeting with the hiring manager on Friday. And then they're not thrilled with me. I got a whole world out there not thrilled with me. I have to focus on you getting a job. That is my focus, not this headhunter, you. Just determine what it is you're fighting for and fight for it. Otherwise, let somebody else get it because you didn't get off your duff. You have to fight for these jobs. They're not going to come to you. If you don't fight for it, you won't get it. And you might fight for it and still not get it. But But if you're not willing to fight for it, you're just going to sit there while somebody says no to you. Well, then we got what we got. Okay, so for all the latecomers, I'm Charlotte Lee. I'm the head coach at LHH Terracin, and I'm here to answer your questions. Yes, Rob? And I hope you don't come late to interviews, informationals, or networking meetings, which this is, by the way. Look, sometimes they're willing to listen to us, and sometimes they have a process, and they want you to go through their process, and they will not usurp anyone. And we have to respect that. And all I would do is send an email saying, you know, mea culpa, really thought this was a perfect fit, would so love to speak with you, thank you for directing me to the recruiter. I will certainly follow up with them, have a great day. You gotta do the close. A lot of people, I love closing things with a bow, because then no one's got a bad taste in their mouth about me being too aggressive. And you and I are a little similar that way, Ron. Back it up, send the note. Okay? Any other questions before we move? Yes?
Question, if somebody, if you get an answer from the first recruiter and says, thank you for your interest, and they interviewed you, and they said pretty much no, is it worth it to go back to them and ask for feedback, or is there any chance that...
Okay, so does everyone hear the question, or do I have to repeat it? I'm listening to you, boss. Did everybody get it? Oh, man. So, the question is, if you've been dinged by someone, is it appropriate to go back? It's kind of your question, right? Yeah. Fewer words. You overtalk. I want you to talk less. I want you to talk less. I want you to streamline your messaging. Streamline it. Make it really short. The answer is, it's always wonderful to go back. And there's two ways to go back. One is to say, thank you for meeting with me. I understand you're moving in a different direction, but I certainly understand your process, and I love that you're being thoughtful in your process, and wish you all good things. Would it be all right if I stayed in touch? Could I potentially connect with you on LinkedIn? Would that be okay? Now, it's sort of, ending the question like I kind of have to answer, and I use that all the time. People actually answer. They actually write back, and we're trying to get people to write back. So end it with a question. And then don't use the F word. The F word is a really bad word. Feedback is a very, very hot word. I would never use the feedback word because it puts people on the spot. And they feel that you're, writing it down and memorizing it and taking it to heart. And frankly, there are only sort of 10 things that are approved for feedback. It wasn't the right fit, we went in another direction. Like there's like 10 things that we're allowed to say. All of them are worthless to you and tell you nothing. And most of the time they're not true. So F word puts people like, and we're trying to draw people to us, right? We're trying to draw people to us to make them really like us and want to be with us. So instead, in meetings, I'd say something like, so to answer your question, the answer is absolutely follow up with a thank you note, follow up with an interesting article, we call them a dead mouse. Follow up with something that would be of interest to them. Don't ask them anything about a job. Just saw this article, you were talking about blankety blank blank, I saw this in The Economist, thought of you, hope all is well. July 4th is coming. Just wanted to wish you and yours a terrific July 4th, happy summer. Nothing else. Those are touch points, by all means do it. 100% do it. You're building a relationship. All of us are the client relationship management business. Right? So that's what you should do. How do I get off track? All right, one more question. We're going to move on to the deck. Okay, so we're going to talk about HR. And the key thing to remember about HR is HR are your friends. HR are allies for you. HR can help you with your search, and they can sync your search. And I'm trying to have them do the former rather than the latter. I have people who marginalize HR in many ways. They don't take the interviews seriously. They don't write thank you notes to everyone. There's a variety of things they do wrong. And my recommendation is you get on it and you treat them as if they're a hiring manager. So HR can help your search. HR is on your side. HR is often the first call or the first interview. They're business partners now. It's not personnel. I had someone who called them personnel. They call them different things. Make sure you call them what they call themselves in their organization. Sometimes in their organizations, they call them human capital. So people who are sitting next to each other, like here, share. Send these back to the back. Someone sitting next to you, share. Sir, send yours back. Ron, send yours back. Share with Shelley. Gabriella, Cheryl. Everybody, sorry. We're not in the Xerox business. We don't make enough copies. Thank you, Tim, for being my secretary. Because Tim made all the copies. I did nothing today. I showed up. Somebody bought me a coffee. I didn't even buy my own damn coffee. That just goes to show you we all need a staff. Someone get me a staff. All right. Hiring managers count on them. They count on them for a tipping point. I meet with Susie, Mary, and Kathy. And I go to HR and I say to HR, I love Susie, Kathy, and Mary. Who did you like the most? And they say Mary. I say none. Hook it up. Get her in. That's what I do, because I like them all equally. And I don't have time for this. I gotta go back to my real job. So please know they can be your tipping point. They can provide color for you on the culture. Oh, the meeting's on Friday. Do I need to be in a suit, Charlotte? Oh, no, don't come in a suit. None of the guys are gonna be in suits. They're all gonna be in golf shirts. You will not show up in a golf shirt because you don't work there. But you will show up in a suit with a shirt with no tie. Understood? Fit. They're less focused on your content and very focused on your fit. There may be a tipping point. It's a way to get feedback and ask, but don't ask for feedback. I thought this went really well. Is there anything I didn't answer? Is there any part of the job that you think I don't do? Is there anything that you think is a hot spot that I should know about? That's the way you're asking for F. Don't ask for F. Ask questions that solicit from them data points for you. Small companies. Small companies have a small staff. They've got one head of HR. They use external recruiters sometimes in the senior roles. They have a limited database. They're limited sophistication. They're small companies. And they typically have very good relationships with the hiring managers because they're small. Large companies. So the large companies have a functional staff. So you'll have someone in recruiting, you'll have someone in talent acquisition, you'll have someone in comp, you'll have somebody in benefits, you'll have somebody in payroll. Every single thing is in a different swim lane. So make sure you're talking to the right person about the right thing. Because if it's comp and they have a comp person, you can't be talking to payroll. And you can't be talking to the recruiter because then you look like you're not paying attention. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to what is said and what is not said and that you know who's in what swim lane to ask the right questions. Roles are specialized, robust. They have a very robust internal HRIS system. So every job you've applied for shows up. Every person you've talked to can show up. Every sponsor you have can show up. I have people who have 6 different resumes inside these organizations. You look a little nutty. You look a little crazy, and you look like you're just applying for stuff by throwing it against the wall and hoping to God something sticks. Be careful. It's all trackable, all of it. So is DNH, which is do not hire. When something happens that is very inappropriate, they put on a DNH, which is to not hire you. And there are a couple of ways to get that. You can imagine what they are, but if you have any questions, we'll be happy to talk about it. I don't want to focus on it. They will think of you for other verticals. So if you meet someone in HR and he's fabulous, and he really likes you, but his role doesn't fit, if he liked you and you stayed in touch, to the other gal's question, and you stayed in touch, you can say, oh, Charlotte didn't fit that job, but she actually fits this job. Let me get her in here for Margaret's job. And they call you. And they're like, oh, I'm so glad you stayed in touch. You know that job for Margaret didn't work, but Susan's got a role kind of fits you. I'm going to bring you in. So you have no idea where the job's going to come from, which is why you got to stay connected to everyone you're meeting with. And it's difficult, I get that, but it's a numbers game, and it's an Excel spreadsheet. That's all. This is not complicated. It's not complicated. You got to do it, but it's not complicated. Circle back, circle back, circle back. Needs change on a moment-to-moment basis. And then keep in mind, I'm on page 5, follow a prescribed process. If you don't know the process, ask. Should I get back to you? Should I get back to David? Should I get back to Mark? Please let me know who to get back to. I don't want to muck this up. This is really important to me. This is my #1 target company. I'd like to do this right. Please tell me what I need to do. Respect all roles. Everyone talks. The first person I hit up in my office is my security guy. So, you having any trouble with anybody coming in this morning? No, Miss Lee, everything's great. I'm like, I see your face. I see the face you're making. I want a picture. I want to know who he is. He's like, what made you think it was a he? I said, I don't know. I feel it. He's like, this guy. And I go upstairs, and I find you, and I will end you. And the reason I will end you is you cannot start your day, or anybody else's day, with that attitude. No one will hire you. And I certainly won't have you in the building, because I'm not going to have that in our office. We're all about hope. and positivity and help, and I'm not going to have it. And if you want to spread that toxicity, spread it someplace else. And know that we all know you're toxic, which means the hiring managers know you're toxic, the colleagues know you're toxic, and your former colleagues know you're toxic, and that becomes your brand. So be very careful how you speak to the receptionist that you thought was just the receptionist. You have no idea who she is, and it doesn't matter. She's a person, just like you. And if you wouldn't like to be treated that way, please don't do it. And I see a lot of it, and I'm calling people out on it all the time. So please be very careful. I'm super sensitive and treat everyone the same. You have no idea how this job's going to come. Trust me, you have no idea. If I knew, I would tell you. I'd give you the silver bullet, and I'd shoot every one of you in the head. I don't know. If I knew, I'd tell you. I've been writing books. I've been on CNBC. I've been on the newspaper. I'm a subject matter expert. I've been doing this for 39 years. 13 here. I have no idea where that job's going to come from. Don't think you know. You don't. Trust me. You have to know what you don't know. We all have to know what we don't know. The job search is not what you know. And it is what I know, and I still don't know. So how would you know? You don't. So please don't prejudge. I can't tell you how many times I've sat next to somebody because he looked like he wasn't going to talk about his job, and I sat down, and he was the head of recruiting at a very large investment bank. I couldn't believe it. He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I can't tell you." He's like, "Are you in the CIA? Do you have a gun?" And I'm like, "Worse." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "I run a coaching firm for people out of work." He's like, "Oh, that's funny." I said, "Can I get a list of all your ex?" He's like, "Could we have our salad first?" He's like, "If you give me the list, I'll give you my salad." And he's like, "Did you see the dessert?" I'm like, "Why, is it chocolate mousse?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "If you give me a chocolate mousse, I'll give you the list." I'm like, "Done." I lost my chocolate mousse for those damn recs, I want you to know. I lost my chocolate mousse for those recs, but I got the recs. 93 of them. Actively listen to learn and understand the culture. Keep your profile fresh. If you do have a new resume, because you just got PMP certified, you just joined the board, you finished your Portuguese lessons, turn it down. I'm yelling at everybody, but it's so hard for me to be gentle. Keep in touch with articles and market intelligence. And when possible, go the extra mile. There could be something in the works. 80% of jobs are not posted. And so you chasing postings is a little bit of not a great use of your time. This is an extra one. So please don't chase postings. Identify your target companies and go after those target companies and network like crazy. Don't chase roles because two things happen. One is it's actually already taken. They have both an internal candidate and an external candidate. And unfortunately, it's already gone, but they don't change it on the website. So you're running around like a crazy person. "Oh my God, this thing reads like my resume." I hear that every day, literally every day. "This is me. This is fun." I'm thinking, it's taken. It's not there. And then 90% of the people that I know who land in jobs that weren't posted. So please don't waste your time chasing postings. My chief of staff has a question. One moment.
Yes, as the chief of staff, I'd like to know, is LinkedIn any better?
Yes, Mark. Is LinkedIn better? LinkedIn is better than, I would say, a lot of things. LinkedIn is better. I find most people spend too much time alone and too much time online. So if you want to spend an hour a day trolling through LinkedIn, that is fine. There are a large number of you who are spending extended periods of time online and alone. And that's a waste of time. 1 hour, LinkedIn. Go through, see if there's anything interesting. Apply. Apply to 2 or 3 things a week and then stop applying. Because it's unlikely you're going to get a job that way. Very junior people get jobs that way. So I have a godson who's a young man, and he landed yesterday, and we did him through postings. I know, one of my landings. I can't wait for my peonies. I'm waiting for my peonies. They haven't come yet. But I think at the end of the day, he's a kid. He's a kid. And so the kids are different. Not a lot of us in here are kids. And so we tend not to land through postings, nor through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is better, is the answer, but it's still a waste of time as far as your day goes. 1 hour. Yes?
Can you tell us about your strategies for approaching the jobs that are
Network. That's my approach. Pick up the phone and call every man, woman, and child you can. And if you cannot, send an email and ask for a call. And don't wear brown. So, 3 things. I think it's really important for you to activate your networks. And I do think people think they're activating their networks, and they've talked to, 60 people. And I say, okay, well, I'm gonna log out of my computer. I had this gal log on, and she has 1,113 people on LinkedIn. I said, you talked to 50 people. Are you nuts? You got another grand to go. I said, okay, let's assume like 150 of them are like your dry cleaning people that maybe may not be connected. My dry cleaning people are actually kind of connected, but maybe yours aren't. So fine, I'll drop your dry cleaning people. She still has 800 people to go through by either email or phone. Hey, I've got this marketing plan, would love your advice. Hey, I've been doing some consulting, would love your advice. Hey, I'm thinking about the summer, would love your advice. Give me 10 minutes on the phone. How tough could that be to send out those 800 emails? How long do you want to be out of work, is my question to you. You get to determine how long you're out based on how many hours you spend on this search. It takes a lot of hours. I've never had a 40-hour-a-week job. This is my lowest level job I've ever had in my career, and I must work 70, 80 hours this week. Easy. People make fun of me. They're like, Charlotte, why are you emailing me at 4 in the morning? I'm like, why are you writing back? I was babysitting my granddaughter. She got up, I got up, I wrote some emails. But at the end of the day, I have very long hours. Very long hours. And I expect you, if you want to land, to get long hours. If you're trying to do between 9 and 3, good luck with that strategy. I'll see you here for Christmas, for sure. Definitely we'll be together for the holidays. It's got to be a hobby or it's a job. Is it your hobby or is it your job? Your job is to get a job. Right? And if you did your job, how many hours did you work in your job? How many people in this room worked 40 hours in their last job? Hands up. 40 hours. Okay, then you should be doing a minimum of 80 on your job search because you're doing a job that is not your job. You're trying to do my job. So if someone's a risk manager and I'm not, and I'm trying to be a risk manager, it's going to take me twice as much time to do a risk management job because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Same thing for you. You're now doing job search, you don't know anything about it. It takes you twice as long to do it when you don't know what you're doing. Because I got to figure out what the hell a risk manager does. Fortunately, I have a lot of people in the room, and I can ask them. But it's going to take me a long time to ramp up. It takes you a long time to ramp up when you don't know how to do a job. Other questions? Keep me honest with the time. Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain why within a job posting it is extremely rare that I find anything that's outside of the parameters 5 to 7 years? When obviously
Because they're juniorizing the workforce is the answer. So we're asking, every job posting she sees is asking people for 5 to 7 years. And the reason for that is they're really looking to juniorize their population and to promote people within. So if they get someone who has 5 to 7 years versus 15 or 20, they're going to get a more junior person who makes a certain amount of money who they can promote and grow within. And that is the model for today.
I didn't finish my question.
Okay. You already asked another question, so you're done with questions. You got to wait till somebody else asks questions. We're going to move to the next step. Here we go. Oh, can I add one? Thanks. I wanted to touch a little bit about tips for landing, what I think are great tips for landing. My opinion only. All of this is my opinion only, I should say out loud. Everybody's got to do what they got to do, and everyone has to do it the way they want to do it. My job is just to give you ideas around it, some of which you'll take, some of which you won't take. And I think that's okay. You may have a better idea of how to do it. By all means. If you have a better idea, 1, I'd love to hear it, and 2, please share it with your group. Because what we're trying to do here is share best practices. There are people here who've done this before, and so they can share best practice with you of how they got their other job. I'm hoping they'll do that. Questions on that? Yes, ma'am. Who did you interview with? No, sorry, I didn't mean the name of it. I meant the function. Did you interview with HR or the hiring manager? Okay, good. 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 Nice. Good. Good. Nice. Does everybody hear this? These are some very, okay. So stop, can I stop you for 1 second? These, I have to repeat, I'm getting yelled at again. These are very good sharing best practices. There are 3 things that came out of this. 1 is she saw a job at Albert Einstein online and applied through LinkedIn. Check in the box, nice job. 2, she gets called for an interview from HR and does a nice job with the HR person, then gets to the hiring manager, check in the box, sends a thank you note to both of them. Separately, their own notes, of course. Some people are like, uh-oh. No group emails, people. No CC, no BCC, no group emails. She sent each one of them their own. Now it's 3 weeks later, she's like, now what? Is that the question? No, but it's only 3 weeks. So it's only 3 weeks. Okay. It's still available. Okay. Right. Great.
Next day, I think that the followers will go to email to hiring.
Yes.
I think I follow up with HR and then I'm supposed to candidate that responsibility to go back home.
Okay. Didn't hear back. Okay. So this process takes a long time. It's only been 3 weeks. I'm very excited that she sent the note to HR and HR wrote back that we're interviewing other people. They're typically not interviewing just us. They're normally interviewing a lot of people. In the old days, they would interview like 3 to 4 people who fit kind of perfectly. I have someone who's interviewing 9 people for a role that I would consider mid-level, that I would interview 3 people at my level. He's interviewing 9 people at a very senior level for a very junior role. So, you know, you kind of go, So one, there are 2 time zones, when you're in and when you're out. And when you're in, you don't get anything done. Like you go home and you're like, oh my God, I got all my emails to go through, I gotta get the letter. There's just a ton of stuff you don't get done. When you're out, you're like, I emailed her 4 hours ago and she doesn't email it back. What's up with that? So I get it. You're thinking, oh my gosh, 3 weeks. This stuff takes forever. So please don't think 3 weeks is long. It's not. You did a great job. You did a very good job on your execution. The only thing I would have done a little bit differently is you sent the same messaging to HR as you did to the hiring manager. So, no, it was the same, because what you did was ask for help for you. What you want to do with a hiring manager is look more strategic. So HR, I'm happy for you to say, hey, you know, where are you in the process? The hiring manager, you talked about other things other than you and that job. And what I would do is send that guy or gal an article and say, you know, we talked about managed care when I was in your office, and there was this really cool article in the FT about managed care, and you may have seen it, but I wanted to share it with you. Hope you have a great weekend. Best regards. What's your name? Sonia. That's what I would have done. Because then it's less about, hey, I'm still standing here, car 54, where are you? And you don't want to do that, especially since you've already sent that message to HR. So don't send the same message to a hiring manager, okay? And that's a way to change it up a little bit. So you can now do that to the hiring manager next Friday, okay? So the intervals are varying. When you have, the question was, what are the intervals for, you know, how long to wait to follow up? And the answer is, it depends on 2 things. It depends on what you contracted in the meeting. So when I'm in the meeting, I'm like, Lamont, this was great. I really enjoyed meeting with you. Terrific. I'd love to follow up and stay in touch. What's reasonable? And Lamont's like, Charlotte, I got 9 more people to interview. You need to give me time. And I'm like, okay, can I circle back in a month? And he says, absolutely. Phone or email? Email. Done. So I have now contracted with the hiring manager as to what I'm going to do, which is to follow up in 1 month via email, because he has 9 more people to interview. Now, I want to jump out the window, needless to say. We all want to jump out the window. But I at least contract, he knows I'm coming after him. Like, I'm coming after you in a month, because you told me it was okay to email. So I almost asked for permission, but I did get good feedback there, because if he wasn't interested in me, he would have said, what we are all allowed to say, which is, you know, Charlotte, we're really early in the process. We'll have HR get back to you. I'm out. I've seen that movie before. I'm out. I get that. It's okay. But I say, oh no, I totally understand. Thanks so much for seeing me. But you're done. You're toast. So there's some things they can say, but if he lets me directly correspond with him in a month, that's a good thing. So let's just go through these, and then we'll talk about anything else you want to talk about. So market conditions, look, there is low unemployment, but firms are still very picky on their perfect fit. They're looking for plug and play, so it's still a little bit on the picky side. And there is still, that's gal's point, juniorizing. They are looking to push it down as low as they can. So they don't have to hire an MD. They can hire an SVP or a VP or an ED or D they want to. Consulting is growing. I have more consulting now than clients than I've had in my entire career combined. I have never seen these numbers. They're staggering. In every walk of life, tons of project work and tons of consulting. And then I do notice that now you have to come up with the assignment. You know, in the old days you could have a meeting, kind of get to know each other, then you'd have another meeting, kind of scope it out, then you have another meeting and talk and think about it. Now you got to come right out of the box. They sort of tell you what the problem is and kind of what their pain points could be, and you have to come up with an idea or solution then and there in the very first meeting. That's new. That's a new market condition. Common missteps: being alone all day, being online for hours, missing large events, passively posting, chasing jobs, applying blindly. Have a plan. Implement your plan. Have metrics. Follow up extensively. Focus on productivity, not activity, and no long meetings or calls. Somebody was coming with me today and said, "How long are we going to be?" I said, 1 hour. I have no meeting that lasts more than 1 hour. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Nothing I do lasts more than 1 hour. If you can't get it done in an hour, you're not getting it done. You should be getting it done in 10 minutes. Because you should be having a lot of networking meetings. 10 minutes, that's all you need. 10-minute call. And if you don't get done in 10 minutes, then you're not good at articulating your value, you're not good at asking questions, and you're not good at building rapport. And those are 3 things you gotta do to get a job. This is a numbers game.
Any reason for in-person?
Any reason for in-person? No. No. And I would say, especially if you know them. I see people spending hours and days with people they know. I'm like, did you guys go to Tufts together? Like, yeah. You know, for 35 years. Why do you have to look at them? No, what a waste of time. How long do you want to be out? Speed this up, folks. Do not meet with people face to face if you've seen them and know them. Unless you're dating. You laugh, I'm serious. I'm very serious. You're all wasting a lot of time. And you know, people will leave this. It's a classic thing. So you get the sheet. Do you give out the sheets? You know, do you give out the sheets with everyone's info? Okay, so we get the sheets with everyone's info, name, phone number, email, whatever. The sheet with the info, with the contact info. And people like stick it in their thing, and they go home, and that's the end of that. And I think to myself, that guy's the hiring manager was sitting 2 rows behind him. That's where I still am. I just can't take it. So please do some things you wouldn't normally do on a regular day. This is not a regular day. Please speak with strangers so that half the people you're talking to are people you don't know. Please introduce yourself and be your own welcome wagon. No one is coming for you. No one is coming for you. This is not that kind of market. Unless you are a software engineer, Python specialist, data scientist, robotics engineer, AI specialist. Everybody in the room like that, raise your hand. They're coming for you. Except I've got none of those anywhere. My entire Rolodex, I have 3,000 people on LinkedIn. I'm still looking. Because I got jobs in Virginia. Good, send them my way. Anyone who sounds like that, please send them my way. I've got reps of the yin yang. Of clients who send me, hey, everybody looks like this. I don't even understand the job spec. Let's be honest. No, I really don't. I'm like, what the hell does that person do? I really don't know. I'm not really great. You know, I'm just not with that. But these software engineers, they're dying to get their hands on them. So if you have any, send them my way. I'm happy to forward their resumes on to people who might be interested. Do I ever recommend dumbing down a resume? Every day. I recommend that. Every day. Every day. Take off, I wouldn't take off degrees, but I'd take off titles. You know, I really used to be somebody. I'm a coach. A low-paying coach, a happy coach, but a very low-paying coach. We have to be real. If I was focused on title, what the hell would I be doing here? I'd go back to my investment banking job and get a real title and a real paycheck. I'm not motivated by titles, and I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by you and by people. And I'm lucky, because that husband puts up with me. Yes, Kristen.
Could you refresh the 10-minute phone call? Because that's very, I talk a lot also, so it's very difficult for me to,
you know,
especially if somebody you don't know.
Be fired today. The question is, could I refresh the 10-minute call. And Kristen was saying she's an overtalker. There are a lot of overtalkers in the room, including yours truly, so I get that. But I've been trained and coached, and I train and coach. So here's what I do in the 10-minute call. I prepare, because you don't want to wing it, right? So I get this meeting with Tim at 3 o'clock. I say, at 10 to 3, I send Tim a note. Thanks so much for speaking with me at 3 o'clock today. Attached is my marketing plan. I'd love your advice. Because I have a plan, right? I told you to get a plan. Make a plan. I have a plan. I send it to Tim, and I then find out how is he, what's new, how's the bank, blah, 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 whatever you can do as a mutual interest point, if you have some mutual interest point. Sometimes it's a connection through somebody else. I say, how do you know Mark? How do you know Craig? We went to school together, and I sort of try to get the mutual interest part going the most, the rapport piece the most. Then I have a set 5 questions that I ask the person, and those 5 questions differ depending on whom I'm meeting, but I come up with 5 questions that will make them talk. And they do all the talking. And then the 10 minutes is over, and I'm like, Tim, I told you I'd take 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes. I was wondering if there was anybody else inside the bank that would be able to have this 10-minute conversation with me too. There's no role on the website, but I just thought if I sort of get in, like socializing within the firm, there might be consulting, there might be assignments, there might be someone needing an extra pair of hands. I said, I have a friend who's consulting because somebody went on maternity leave and they didn't even realize she was pregnant, but now this gentleman's got a 4-month maternity thing. Now, look, she may come back, but it's still 4 months you're working. It's something to put on your resume. It keeps you crisp. It's a whole new network. What could be negative? And that's ignoring the fact that you're going to get paid. So all of those reasons, that's why I prep. Who is it? What's my mutual interest point? What's my icebreaker? How am I going to get to build rapport with them? What are my 5 questions? And then once I get my 5 questions answered, the timing's up, because I've just been listening, nodding, and smiling through the phone, and oh, cool, oh, interesting. And then at the end, they're like, okay, well, we've been on the phone, I use it all the time. They almost feel guilty about using it all the time, which I always find funny. And they're like, what else, well, can I do something for you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dying for you to introduce me to someone. If you look at the second page of my marketing plan, you'll see that the bank is at the top, and I'd love to talk to somebody at the bank, but since you said that the bank's really not doing anything and really in contract mode, I was wondering if there's anybody in those other 6 firms that you might know that would be willing to have a conversation with me. And I literally need a networking conversation. I don't want you to worry that I'm going to be sending my resume around asking people for jobs. That's not my style, and that's not what I'm going to do. And you actually have to say that out loud, because a lot of people come across as desperate and like, I need a job, I need a job, and it's like, who wants to be with you? Coming across in this frantic, desperate way. Nobody wants to be with you. Your own family doesn't want to be with you, it's just you can't get away. So don't do that. It just makes people feel uncomfortable. I always tell people there's one thing to focus on is how do you make others feel? If you don't leave here feeling empowered, I failed. I failed. And I should retire. What did you do today to empower someone else or help someone else or pay it forward? Because that's how you're going to be remembered. Trust me. They're not going to remember me because I did the only unsecured shipping deal in the firm's history. Which they should, because it's pretty cool. Yes, ma'am.
So sometimes when I've had those calls, especially if it's like reconnecting with someone I haven't talked to in a while, a lot of them will oftentimes tell me about the referral process and ask, to see like, see if there's any openings. That's fine, right?
No, you should have looked the openings. That's part of your prep. You should have looked to see if there was openings to be able to say there are no openings. I mean, that's part of your prep, is to go to not only their LinkedIn, but all the companies they've ever worked for's website. Because if you're talking to them and they were at, SAP now, bless you, and then they were at, Barclays, and then they were at JP, and then I would go to all those to see if there's any jobs in any of those websites. Now, the answer is most of those are filled, but they don't know that. You could use that as something to hang on to. I would have done that before I got on the phone. I don't want there to be any time where they can send you away empty-handed. And the reason why they send you, just tell them there's no roles on the website. That's why you're just looking for networking meetings. Yes?
You say 10 minutes, and there are books out there that say 20 minutes, some say 30 minutes. What is your reason?
I talk fast, I listen well, and I'm from New York.
Okay. Is there
Anybody got any other question? Thank you, Mark.
any advantage of 30 minutes? What I'm trying to ask is any advantage of 20 minutes?
No. So there is diminishing returns. There are diminishing returns. I can't tell you how many people say they need an hour. Not a shot you need an hour. No one is that interesting. It's just, that's a joke, an hour. Are you crazy? There's There's a reason why 8-minute speed dating is the most popular thing in the history of humanity. 8-minute speed dating. And darn it, if they can get married, you can get a job. I think one is more important than the other. Trust me, one is more important than the other. But at the end of the day, I can't imagine anyone saying no to me for 10 minutes. And I can see a lot of people saying no to me for 20. A lot of, it's just too much, it just takes them right over the edge. Look, we're all getting slammed. We're all being asked to do more with less. And the people you're talking to, many of them have jobs. And you remember when you were in jobs, people called you, you didn't call back, people emailed you, you didn't email back, people called you with jobs that were like real jobs, you didn't talk to them. Headhunters called, asked you for referrals, you didn't help them. Like, none of us is perfect. I'm not saying you're perfect. All of us have made a mistake, but now it's coming back to roost. 10 minutes. No more. New York, listen well, talk fast, Kristen. But just at the end, all the beginning is all about them. How do you make others feel? Because when you don't make them feel good, they don't want to be with you. I want them to really want to be with you. Yes? The question is, what is my take on accepting a job that is not ideal? And my answer is nothing is ideal, except for my husband and children. Who are kind of perfect, but nothing's ideal. Everything comes with a little bit of hair on it. And so do you. There's a lot about us that's not perfect. The list is long. Get in line. Nothing's perfect. You're not going to get a perfect job. Get a good job that makes you happy to get up in the morning with people you like, where you feel valued. That's it. Keep it simple. You're not getting everything. Why should you? Who are you? Why should you? None of us do. I told you I need a staff. My office is not giving me a staff. Tim's my staff. Now I got Mark. I'm happy with that. I got Dana. I got Nancy. He's my staff. I have no staff. I would like a staff. They don't care what I want. Trust me. Margaret's my staff. Thank you. Thank you. I have staff in this building. That would make it a perfect job. I'm not getting staff. It's still a perfect job. I'm happy. I'm valued. I bring value. I'm changing the world. I'm leaving it a better place. What are you doing? Right? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? My mother told me I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not going to let it down. And a lot of people know that. That's my brand. That's my brand. I'm known for that. And that's what I want to be known for. Not perfection. Progress, not perfection. Yes, ma'am. Oh, hang on. Can I get this one? Because she didn't have a question. Yes, ma'am.
So, Charlotte,
Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to meet you. My pleasure.
So in the pay forward category, I want to say that I have been recruited successfully on my LinkedIn profile.
Cool.
Job I actually just signed up. I was recruited for spend some time on your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, so the comment was she got recruited from her LinkedIn profile, so please spend time on your LinkedIn profile to make sure it's gorgeous. Thank you. Love it.
My challenge is actually interviewing. I can get that interview, but I have learned lessons from not so successfully interviewing. So tips for preparing for an interview. Like in the moment, I don't come up with writing. The answer to that was
Again, probably not something you want to hear, but this is about interviewing. You know, some tips on interviewing. So the real answer is practice. And yours is also body language, Elizabeth. Your body language needs to be more executive. You need presence and executive presence. And I don't feel it, and I need to feel it, and you need to bring it. So yours is body language as well as your content. If you map out your content, you'll memorize it. I know it sounds stupid, but you'll memorize it now. What's your greatest weakness? Why do you want to work here? What have you done recently? How does the digital transformation here at AWS you'll come up with the 10 questions that you know they're going to bloody ask. And you're going to have answers to them that you're going to practice. Then you're going to have someone take you, which is really unattractive. Literally, you can do it with your iPhone. You're going to have someone videotape you. And you're going to say, why do I keep thinking like that? Why is my head cocked to the side? Stick your head up straight. Stop looking reticent. Bring it. I want you to sit up. I want your head up. I want your chin up. I want your hair restyled. I want you to wear makeup. I want you to look like you're ready for TV. I want you to look thoroughly polished, like you're the CEO of AWS. And you have got to physically bring it and memorize the content. Because if you memorize the content extemporaneously, obviously not word for word, but you kind of memorize what you're going to say, then you're not nervous. You can pull it right out, but you practice it, and then you can get the physicality straight. Because you're not worried about what the hell am I going to say, what am I going to say, what am I going to say. You've got the words because you practiced it so many times. And they say that you should handwrite it. I always have people emailing to me. I was talking to my coach, and he was saying, you know, they say that if you handwrite something out, you remember it better. And I'm a big letter writer. I write a lot of letters. I write a lot of notes. I'm a big letter writer, so for me that was easy. Handwrite them out, then type them. I just think if you memorize your content and you get this physicality thing going with the body language and you bring it, they'll be like, whoa. Other questions? Yes, hi John.
I'm going to be in a panel interview 2-on-1. I'm going to try and send them separate notes, but is it ever okay to send them?
No, it's never okay. I mean, people are separate. You know, they consider Siamese twins to be separate. The questions are related around you meeting people together in a panel interview more than one, and can you send one thank you note? And the answer is no. Every person gets their own thank you note and their own follow-up. That's the question, that's the answer. You had a question? Yes, please. So the question is, 80% of all jobs are not posted, but she sees things posted. And my answer is, fine. They do post some things, so it doesn't look like they're not hiring. They don't want it to look like they're not hiring, because if you're not hiring, then your business is dying. So you don't want to tell the world your business is dying. So we post some jobs, and then when they're filled, we don't take them down. So when you see jobs that are posted that you think are of interest to you and you'd like to apply, by all means apply. And then I would triage it. Like if it's at Memorial Sloan Kettering, I go to my LinkedIn, see if I know anybody at Memorial Sloan Kettering. And if Marcia knows Patel, who knows Rupert, and Rupert's at Memorial, I go through all the daisy chain to get to the guy at Memorial through my network. So check your first, second, and third degree connections. See if you know somebody at those companies, so you're not only applying blindly to a black hole, but you're doing some triage around it. Okay? Yes?
In terms of following up for interviews, one of the questions I had is, implement everything, but if you have some ideas on how to improve the business, is that the regular job more aggressive or?
So it depends how extensive your conversations were. If you had a one-time conversation with someone, and then you send an email on ways to improve their business, I think it comes across as edgy. I think it comes across as someone who is unburdened by the facts and is coming up with the answers and doesn't know the right questions. So I would hesitate on giving people answers to their problems who haven't asked when I am out of work. I think it doesn't necessarily come off the way that you mean it. So in the meeting, if I have a couple of ideas, I bring them. I bring it in the meeting. Anyone trying to do anything afterwards is quite difficult. The time to make the best impression is in the face-to-face meeting or on the phone. So when you have that idea, spit it out. If it comes to you later, so you send the thank you note, you don't hear back on anything, you can send it out and say, you know, you were talking about the website, and I took a look at it, and I had 2 small things I thought would really drive the hits. Bing and Bing. Hope this is of interest. Look forward to connecting. Love and kisses, Susie. Don't sign a love and kisses. But you know what I mean. So you can do that. It's small. And it's specific. It's a soft touch. Me talking about soft touch is a little outside my bailiwick. But that's what I would do. Yes, sir.
Getting back to the panel interview, what's the way you recommend getting their email addresses, and what do you do if they
Okay, we have a panel interview, and how do you get their email addresses, and what do you do if they don't want to give them to you? I love this one. So I worked in the not-for-profit sector. I run 5 nonprofits, and a lot of the interviews were panel interviews. And you'll meet with the board. You'll have 9 people, and the only seat that's empty is the one at the head of the table. And I did what I always do, which is to say, "Where would you like me to sit?" And he said, "Right there." And I'm going, Spanish Inquisition, here we come. But at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to get their contact information. If you're going to have to send it to someone who then has to forward it for you, I can assure you I'm not forwarding anything for you. I don't work for you. I don't care about your candidacy. If you didn't get it yourself and you didn't own this process, I'm out. So I would definitely ask. I would definitely do it in a way that is easy for them to provide it. Some people say, "Oh, I don't have a card." And I say, "Oh, no problem. I have a pen and I have my card. I'll stick it on the back of mine." Right? Because when I stand there and I smile with the pen in hand, with the card, it's kind of hard for you not to say john.dowd@gmail.com. It's kind of hard. It's going to make you feel awkward, which is okay. Because I want your email, and I'm going to fight for this job to get it. And this is about building relationships and building rapport, and the onus is on you, not them. People say to me, someone said it to me, and there were 2 other candidates standing there, and they were like, "Oh God, this is going to be bad." And I was like, "Guys, I'm standing here. You can't actually say that." But what he said was, "She didn't give me her card. She didn't tell me what the next steps were. It is not their job to do anything." I don't fit in anymore. That's what you can have. But you have to look like a brand ambassador, right? If you're going to see Colgate, let's not tell them we use Crest, right? It's kind of stupid. You're all laughing, but if you knew how many people I know are walking over to JP Morgan with their, TD umbrella, and it's big and green and ugly, they can tell it's a TD umbrella. What's the matter with you? So I would have come up with 2 or 3 things that made me a great candidate. And I would have said, I'd be incredibly disappointed, but I would respect your process because I respect everyone's process. But I'm such a perfect fit because of these 3 reasons. It would surprise me that you didn't give me this job because I really want to bring value right away. All right, one last question. Oh, Marcia, you get it. All right.
What about getting people's contact information when you're talking to them on the phone?
I do it right in the beginning. I say, hey Dawn, I'd love to get your email because, Steve connected us by email and I didn't get your phone number and it's not on your LinkedIn. Can I just get your, whatever it is I'm looking for, phone number, email, whatever the info is I'm looking, I do it in the very beginning. And I say, can you just give it to me now because I know by the end of the conversation I'm going to forget. And I do it right in the beginning. And it's very rare that people hang up on you.
For an interview?
I would do it right in the beginning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.